Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Martin. I'm a cybersecurity expert with almost 30 years experience in cybersecurity. I have a lot of different certifications, including AI red teaming from Learn Prompting, IML certification, the pen test certification from SecOps Group, CISSP, OSCP, burp certifications, you name it. I've been doing a lot of work in the offensive space over the past 2 decades predominantly. And today we're going to talk about AI and more particularly around good AI versus bad AI. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. I will be now posting regular videos on a weekly basis around AI security and around offensive security. Thank you. Let's talk about good AI versus bad AI. And as you can see here, the AI can be a helpful hero or AI can be a digital danger. What will it be? Future will decide. Let's take a look at a few examples what good AI is and what bad AI is. First of all, let's talk what is AI? Well, it's basically data, a lot of data, algorithms, and computing power. Intelligence is really artificial. There is no such thing like intelligence, right? Intelligence in computing doesn't exist. So that's the first thing, the first misconception to clear out here. It's basically you have a lot of data, and what the AI, the artificial intelligence, is doing is predicting patterns, nothing else. So for example, if you say capital of France is P, then it will look what could be the next letter. Could it be A? Could it be B? Could it be C? Could it be D? And so on, right? And because it has been trained with a lot of information, which says the capital of France is Paris, right? It will come up with the next letter is an A, then the next letter is an R, then the next letter is an I, then the next letter is an S. And this is pretty much how AI works. It's just predicting the next token, they call it, right? This is a technology term. I don't want to confuse you too much with technology today. This is more a general video. But what happens effectively is it's predicting what's the next letter, right? Capital of the UK is, and then L, right? So does it start with L? Yes, it does. But then is it LA? Is it LB? Is it LC? I think you get the point, right? And then AI is also able to adapt new information, and it can basically train itself. It can be trained or it can train itself based on new information. The earlier models of ChatGPT, for example, they did not have internet access, but now they have internet access, so they can go out and research just like you do, and you're using a web browser like Google Chrome or something, and you do your research. AI can do the same thing and then can learn from it. This is why it usually has a lot of latest information, including the latest news, for example. With that being out of the way, let's talk about what is a good use case for AI. Good AI is, for example, it can become your personal teacher, right? So you can tell the AI, hey, become my teacher. I want to learn X, Y, Z. And then you quiz me every night. We do an hour of a certain topic, and it will do that for you. And it will be available 24/7. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it's not like in a traditional university or classroom where you have to have a schedule and you have to go into an office or into a site or something. No, none of this, right? It's all available 24/7. And global access. All you need for this is a computer, a laptop, a tablet, a mobile phone, and internet connectivity, which most people or more and more people have these days. Okay, so this is a good use case, AI helping you to learn information. Another good use case is, for example, it can really help developing countries, like countries which are not as well established as the United States or Europe or Australia or generally like the Western world. It can help countries, for example, by providing information. It can provide healthcare access, for example. So an AI bot can basically, even though there's a huge legal discussion around this, even though it is not a medical advisor per se, but it can actually give you really good remedies. If you have a stomach ache and you describe the symptoms and things like this, you don't need to see a doctor necessarily for all of these smaller cases, right? Like I'm not advocating for this, that you should not see a doctor, but imagine you don't have one, you live somewhere like in a very remote area and there is no medical service around and you want to diagnose something. What do? I just cut my hand. What do I do now? What's the best remedy, natural remedy or something like this? So healthcare access, right? Agricultural yield, like AI can actually create you plans for farming, for meat production, for vegetable production, for whatever, and it can actually write really, really good plans on how to do things. And I mean, I use this myself, right? Like in gardening, so I ask it loads of things about gardening and how to get this plant growing, for example, and it basically does this for you, right? Clean water access is another thing, like it tell you, for example, like how to generate clean water first and foremost, or how to distill water, how to boil water, like loads of different things. And I mean, I'm just making like very, very high level cases here, right? But it can be used for a lot of good things, especially in the developing world. Another good thing for where AI can really help is like diagnosing sicknesses or illnesses very early in the process. And that's, for example, one thing. If doctors, if hospitals, if governments share information between each other, say blood samples, for example, right? Blood samples of early cancer patients and things like this, you may be able to detect things which the doctor may take a look and say like, no, it doesn't look like this to me, right? Like, because I haven't seen it before. But maybe someone else in a complete different country, another blood result had already that result. And if you correlate this information, it can be really, really, really useful, right? Precision surgery as well, because AI has a lot of data points and things like this. It can assist in surgeries. It can assist doctors. We are long not there that it's autonomously doing surgeries or things like this, but it can basically assist in surgery. And where it's also extremely useful is, for example, drug discovery, right? Like, for example, finding new drugs, finding new medicines, because it can take so much more information in and it can deal with so much more information at the same time than even hundreds or thousands of humans could do together, right? So the development of new medicines, for example, can be like enhanced significantly by the use of AI. Now, bad AI. Okay, same technology, nothing has changed, but it can also be used for very, very nasty things. Like think of engineered pathogens, right? And think of targeted bioweapons. Like it took humanity quite a while to come up with like bioweapons like anthrax, for example. And it took a lot of government money and it took a lot of scientists and a lot of research. This can be really, really shortcutted with AI, and governments, and I'm not saying one is better than the other or not going into politics here, but governments can and will use this technology to develop new bioweapons, new pathogens, and other bad things, especially around warfare. And we all remember the COVID-19 pandemic, and I'm not going into conspiracy theories here or stuff like that, but to develop something equivalent is a lot easier these days with the use of AI, right? Like, because before you always needed like top scientists and a lot of research work and a lot of manual labor, and now this can be done much, much quicker. So that's a bad use case of bad AI. Another bad AI use case is, for example, military, right? Like autonomous killing, like when machines start killing human beings autonomously. It's basically they have facial recognition cameras. Say the drone has a facial recognition camera. It identifies a person, or it seems to identify a person. It runs it through like a database of, say, known terrorists and whatnot. And if there's a positive match, it will automatically discharge its weapons, right? Like this is autonomous killing. Now, what happens if it makes a mistake, right? Like if it kills an innocent person instead? targeting civilians, right? Like it can be used, of course, not just to target military. It can be used to target civilians. It doesn't make a difference. It's just an algorithm, right? It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't have a conscience. It doesn't have like a heart. It doesn't have feelings. It doesn't have morals. None of this exists. So when you go to ChatGPT or whatever chatbot, you may think like, oh yeah, it's like it's good-hearted or whatnot. No, no, no. This is because certain training data and certain guardrails have been given to it, right? But in reality, it has no emotions and no feelings about nothing. And the danger is really if there's no human oversight. If you let it do its thing, like say, lead a war autonomously, that's getting really dangerous, and that's a bad use case of bad AI. Another thing is government control, right? Like privacy invasion with all these AI bots springing out and all these regulations coming out. It's a full scale privacy invasion into what people do. Like only think of like how controlled the banking world is these days with KYC, and you can only send certain amounts and you need to tell it basically like the bank where you're sending your money to and why you're sending it to, and it's all under the umbrella of anti-money laundering and things like this. But there is no oversight really, right? Like they can practically like invade your privacy if you're not careful, and especially the more and more AI systems are being deployed, the worse it gets here. Same goes for social control, right? Like we only need to look at certain countries where this is already in place, where you basically get points for being a good person and you get points deducted for being a bad person, right? Like crossing the red light, for example, like jaywalking, all these kind of things with facial recognition. Combine all this technology together and they have full control over you. And that links into like the freedom threat, that AI is a very, very good tool to take freedoms away from citizens, right? And this is more applicable to certain countries than others, and because it always depends on the local laws as well and things. But a lot of countries we are seeing, which were once not as bad as they are now, but a lot has to do with AI, government control, and all these kind of things. So this is another thing to be aware of. In summary, my thoughts as an industry professional, it basically will change the world, and it's the next revolution, and it's probably the last revolution we will see in our lifetimes. There have been other revolutions before. There have been the industrialization and things like this, and you can even say like, yes, the internet itself was a revolution as well, so to speak, when it first became like mainstream in the 1990s and things like that. But it's going to change significantly how we live, how we operate. It's going to change everyone's life on the planet, or pretty much everyone's life, unless you live under a rock or on a small little island or something like this. You will basically be touched by it in one way or another. Now, what are your thoughts about good AI versus bad AI? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, if you want to learn AI red teaming, AI penetration testing, or AI for bug bounty, please visit our website at hexaplus.com. The link is in the description below. Until next time, have a good day and see you soon.